Thank you, French French. Shalom, greetings to you all. Labor Day is upon us, the herald for the end of summer. But the way the weather is, we are being paid back for the last several years of lousy weather. So let it stay great. You know, these days, I noticed it is dark when I get up. Used to be light. The time it is a-changing. We are on the countdown to the second most important of the ancient special days, the fall equinox. And as we get closer to it, we will talk about what it hails. Things like balance, judgment, forgiveness, redemption. When the time arrives, we will do our change of seasons service. Now, I will be traveling over the next few weeks, but I will take each and every one of you with me in my heart wherever I go. And speaking of traveling, I hope Bruce and Ellen have an awesome trip, and I look forward to hearing all about it when you are back. And Stephen, my old friend, it was great hearing from you and how well the kids are doing. And speaking of Steve, I hope you were enjoying Oregon. It is a fantastic part of the country, and I certainly will let you know when I'm going to be in your neck of the woods. Well, friends, let us once again begin by sending out healing to the world and to any of you in need of healing, to Michael, Donald, to Cassie, to all those in need of renewal, in need of healing, to our good friend Bob, about to undergo another round of chemo. We're thinking of you. And to everyone else everywhere. Avotenu Makor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Misha Baruch, let us all have our spirits renewed. Well, friends, I'm a great believer that we can find almost anything in a Torah Parsha worth talking about, no matter how uninspiring that it may seem at first. Sometimes I feel so uninspired. Sometimes I feel like giving up. Sometimes I feel so very tired. Sometimes I feel like I've had enough. Sometimes I feel so uninspired, of course, written by the great Stevie Winwood. And this is a book that can often come across that way, uninspiring. Once you get past the stories, it is harder. So let's find something in this week's Something Inspiring. Well, this week we actually, although it is not really talked about directly, look at time periods. And you can consider them periods of redemption, especially in this context of the wilderness generation on the road to freedom. And we love feeling redeemed. And the most basic time period being night and day, which is a metaphor for dark and light, or hidden and seen, or inner and visible to others. This is an intrinsic correlation between these two. And they demonstrate the process. And this is a process that we go through all the time. Now, our initial redemption in anything is internal. It is a part of night, part of darkness, of the hidden processes. And as we inculcate the meanings, the redemption finds the light of day, becomes visible as a guide to others and a beacon to all who seek light, because it is how we now value ourselves. We all have moments that go from one to the other. It is how we do things, how we all do things. We are reading about a people who sought freedom, and when it was attained, did not understand what to do with it. The freedom was attained at night in darkness or unsureness, individually, surreptitiously. They were never going to be able to move past the slave mentality, and so they were sentenced to death, so the next generation would not be held back and burdened by those false, negative, limiting beliefs. Friends, what you believe is your reality. If you believe life is better as a slave, that is reality for you, and you will keep a slave mentality your whole life. The wilderness generation could not properly inculcate the concept of true freedom. You can. You do. You grasp it every day and ride it for all you can. It is why the Festival of Freedom was the most important holy day in the biblical world. And as you read this parsha, keep that in mind. Going from darkness to light, the two intrinsic sides of belief. See, you can be inspired through anything that you read, think, do. You can have those aha moments anytime, any place. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. The great Leonard Cohen, hallelujah, hallelujah. This week we have Re'eh, see, a reminder of Isaac, who in his blindness could not see, and Jacob's first son, Reuben, see, a son. And here in this book of words, where listening is everything, we have God saying, Deuteronomy 11:26, Re'eh enoki noten lipnechem chayom baracha ukilala. See, I'm putting in front of you today a blessing and a curse. And what a blessing and what a curse. But that you will see, Re'eh. And the people will always know, because it will always be in front of the people. You shall put the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. Friends, ancient ruins abound with carved stelae. It is how we know much of what we know. Perhaps the most famous, still in existence after all, the 10 words, somewhat smaller, but still similar, are not around anymore. But the most famous are the Rosetta Stone and the Code of Hammurabi. And you can see the first in the British Museum in London and the second in the Louvre in Paris. And if you read it, the code, you will be a little bit surprised at some of what you see and how familiar it is. Well, we're about to see God's promise to Abraham come to fruition. His first instructions to Abraham, way back when, were to leave the land of his birth and go to the land he would show him. Abraham performed an act of faith in doing that, and he did. And now his descendants are about to take possession of that promised land. And in anticipation, there are things that occur in this book that have to have come later in history. Deuteronomy 12:5. Instructions are given that there should be only one place. And that is the reason this may be a later book. For centuries, there were multiple places of sacrifice, of worship, of priests. But now we're told, rather, you shall inquire at the place that Adonai your God will choose from all your tribes to set his name there, to tent it, and you shall come there. So what does it mean, to set his name there? Well, friends, this actually has a term, and this is known as the Deuteronomistic name theology. Can you say that 5 times quickly? You see, God cannot be contained in all of the universe, so how can a structure built on earth by humans possibly house God? Well, it cannot. Therefore, God causes his name to be contained in the structure. The divine name becomes almost a tangible entity, and it is connected to the structure, that is, to the tent of meeting. The visible symbol of the presence of the divine name is the ark. And so every occurrence of this expression in Deuteronomy refers to the place where the ark is. Later, the ark and the tent of meeting will be moved to the temple that Solomon builds in Jerusalem, and there it stays. See, there are not to be temples of God all over the world, or even all over Israel. There is to be only one place. Now, this does not preclude the post-biblical Jewish practice of having synagogues And then later, the Christian practice of having churches as places of prayer, study, gathering, it just means that worship involving sacrifices, and this was a sacrifice-based religion, can be done only in the one sanctioned place now. And this change also heralds change in one of the key festivals, Passover. See, unlike the other festivals, Passover was primarily a home ritual. Each household sacrificed a lamb. And probably, at least in the earliest periods, although you don't see it much today, blood was smeared on the lintel to ward off evil. Deuteronomy, therefore, has to relocate even this domestic festival to the central sanctuary because we are told now there can only be one place. Friends, you can pray anywhere, but you can only sacrifice in one place. And this kind of reminds us of the sacrosanctity of life. We are to eat in the presence of God. A sacrifice is a sacred meal, eaten in the presence of God. Animals' lives cannot be taken in a thoughtless way. If one wishes to eat meat, the animal must now be killed at the one central place of worship, called the tabernacle in Leviticus and the place where God sets his name in Deuteronomy. Then instead of slaughter, one participates in holiness when one eats the meal. In this way, the meal includes a component of reverence for the animal's life and affirms a belief in the unity of God, which had been the case earlier in the Bible and is something that we have drifted much too far from. Now, I've been asked if this means meat can only be eaten at the one temple, and if so, what about all the people not living near, what would ultimately be the first and second temples in Jerusalem? Well, no, because what it came to mean is people may kill an animal as a sacrifice only at one place. But they could kill animals in a non-sacrificial way, that is a secular way, at any other place so that they can eat meat. But that does not promote the same sense of oneness. Even still, some of the same old rules apply. The blood must be spilled off and not eaten, and only people who are in a condition of ritual purity may eat sacrificed meat. But the secularly slaughtered meat can be eaten by anyone, pure or impure, anywhere. And that's a change that took place because prior to this, when there was sacrifices all over the land, all meat was based upon sacrifice. There wasn't the ability to have this non-ritualistic meat. And interestingly, when they talk about this, we get a brief recap of the foods that we can and cannot eat. And in Deuteronomy 14:21, we get a repeat of, "You shall not cook a kid that's mother's milk." Now, this is the third occurrence of this command. The first two were in Exodus 23:19 and 34:26. But this is the first time, my friends, that it is grouped with the laws of forbidden animals. And this was how the prohibition of milk with meat went from an ethical, moral law to a ritualistic, food-based kashrut law. Yes, the life of the animal is a sacred thing, and this was a reminder. Well, the world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone. An end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other, we share this ride together. Men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do. Learn to forgive, learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Enjoy the journey. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives and our efforts to grow, to learn to be to love. So please do love. Send healing, goodwill, and love to all who need it. Share your holiness. Bless you all. Have a fantastic week. A week of love and light. A week of peace and healing. For you to honor the people of your life. Honor the journey you were on. And friends, honor yourselves. Keep your eyes open to what you may not be seeing. Keep your ears open and listen to the world around you. Remember, whether it is time and the seasons, flora and fauna and gifts that we share with the earth, it is one continuous unity. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. Do not stop your journey. Do not stop moving towards your promised land. It is in sight. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching, keep spreading your holiness. Do not follow fear. Now, thank you all for joining me, for participating, for sharing your lives, your love, your time with me. Love you all. Look forward to seeing you all next week. Be well until then. Thank you, my friends. Shabbat Shalom.